Hey guys, it's Jenny. I watch a lot of booktube videos, I know, shocker. And what personally always makes me very happy is when people write to me, oh, I read this book that you recommended and I really liked it. And that got me thinking, you know, how do you measure the usefulness of your recommendations? How do I know if people actually think that my videos make sense? And so I thought I would do books that I read because of BookTube. Books that I would have never found if it weren't for BookTube. Some of the books are books that I really enjoyed, and some of the books were kind of meh. But you know, that's the way of life, hits and misses. First book in my list is The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. And I discovered this on Poland Banana's Books channel. I think she posted it in January of last year. I think she described it as really dark and intriguing. I thought it was super interesting, so I just put it on a TBR. I read it later on in the year, and I really enjoyed it. If Darkest Minds is a dystopian novel, it's about the US, and there's a plague which kills off almost all the children, and the children that are left have superpowers, and the superpowers are coded by color, and it's about the journey of a girl named Ruby and how she deals with her powers. The second book is Eleanor in Part by Rowell, and I discovered this book through the Collective Works, Amy's channel, and I think she mentioned it in her March book haul of last year. And the funny thing is that she actually said she was pretty sure that this book was gonna make a craze over YouTube, and a couple months later it actually did. So I thought it was really funny to watch that kind of all play out. This book has been like a lucky, I don't know. I adore Rowell and her writing. The book is about a girl named Eleanor who comes from a troubled background and a boy named Park, and they, in all unlikelihood, they fall in love, pulls on your heartstrings, and it makes you laugh and it makes you cry, and Rowell's writing is just so beautiful, and I think the one adjective that I use the most in association with Rowell is just adorable. The next book is More Than This by Ness, and I think I probably would have read it eventually, but I watched Gingerly Love's I think it was wrap up in October, but her video kind of pushed me over the edge to go read it immediately afterwards, and she just raved about it, and it was Ness, and this novel was fantastic. It is highly confusing, but I think that's intentional, and I think it's part of the reading experience. It's about this boy named Seth, and he commits suicide, but instead of dying, he wakes up in this desolate landscape of his childhood hometown, and it's just the story, the plot, the characters, everything is just mind blow. The next book or book series is Shatter Me. Yes, Shatter Me by Tahareh and Mafi. It's like the book monster ate up the book, chewed it up, and just vomited it all over the place. Shatter Me has just been this constant hype on BookTube, and at some point I just wanted in on the game. I wasn't too impressed with Shatter Me. I thought it was a very stereotypical YA dystopian. A girl has issues, girl falls in love with first boy she meets, boy and girl can't live without each other, evil boy tries to separate them, nothing really happens. Yeah. But I did like Unravel Me and Ignite Me, which is the second and third book in the series, because the characters just develop like crazy and they just kind of blow up, and yeah, the writing is beautiful. The next book is Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I found this book on Bookish and Nerdy's channel, I think in one of her book hauls, not wrap-ups. And the thing that won me over was the way she described it. I watched it and I was just lolling, and my brain just went, what? I think what she said was, it's dystopian and the people are separated into colors and it's on Mars. And at that point I was like, what? It's on Mars? Looking back on it, I think it was a greatly executed dystopian. The story was unique in a sense, but then again it was kind of a mashup of Hunger Games, Pretties, and Game of Thrones, and all these things. It's quite gruesome. If you like dystopian, I actually really recommend you go check it out, because I think it is a great dystopian novel. And the next book is Half Bad by Sally Green, and I picked this up because Peruse Project mentioned it in her most anticipated books video of 2014, and it just sounded really cool. It's about black witches and white witches, and about a boy who is half-half, and he lives with the white side of his family, and the people just hate him. The writing of this book and the premise of this book are really good, but the execution not so much. A lot of explanations are missing. This is part of a series, so maybe it'll become richer as the series goes on, but as of now, it was okay. Next book is Control by Lydia King, and this was the book for the BookTube read-along, and I don't even know whose video I watched first, but it was just all over the place. And I really enjoyed the concept of the read-along, the interactiveness of the community. The book, not so much. It wasn't the writing wasn't, it was kind of tough to get through in the beginning. It picked up in pace afterwards and it turned really fun in the end. It's about two sisters. Their father dies in a car crash. The one sister gets abducted and the other sister ends up with a bunch of mutants trying to save her sister. And then there's Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. I've seen this book around here and there, but what convinced me was Dylan from Dylan Books. He really liked this book and he was very enthusiastic about it, and he book swapped himself with the book. So I was like, how can I not read it? And I picked it up and I read it and I really enjoyed it. I don't think as much as Dylan, but it's still a very funny book. It's very quirky. It's written in a very interesting way. There's so many lists. It's about a guy named Greg, and he has a friend named Earl who is from a very troubling family, and then he is forced by his mom to hang out with this girl whom he ditched in primary school, I think, because she's dying of leukemia. It's like the most meaningful, nonsensical book. Next up is Ready Player One by Ernest, Cline, and I've just been seeing this book popping up occasionally here and there on BookTube. I didn't really think much about it, but then I watched Sophia from the Book Basement, her review on the book. I read it and I think it's probably one of my favorite books of this year. If you like video games, if you like nerdy pop culture, it's like magic to my nerdy heart. And the last book on my list is Queen of Hearts by Colleen. I was introduced to this book by Mega Mad for Books, and it's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. It's about a girl named Dina, and she's the Princess of Hearts, and her father, the King of Hearts, just hates her for unknown reasons. One day she's told that she has a half-sister and her father had an illegitimate daughter, and she also receives a message which tells her to go seek out a prisoner in their high-security Black Towers prison. I recently read it and I actually really enjoyed it, but the story was super short, and even though the pacing was fine, all the things that happened up until the point of the book would have been, in my opinion, the first half of the book. It's a series though, it's a trilogy, and I'm gonna read the other books when they come out as well. So these were the 10 books that I discovered through BookTube. I'm gonna list the books and the booktubers down below. You can go check them out. Tell me which books you discovered here on BookTube, and that was it. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.